Welcome to the Energetics of Profits. In case you're new to me, I'm Kristen Jett, Profit Priestess. Hi. I've built my entire business around the idea that energy is the foundation for our business, that it affects our business growth, that it affects, our attraction, that it affects profits. And this all started because I came from the corporate world. I was working with marketing, million-dollar marketing campaigns. And this was something I was seeing on the regular with my clients. Even if we were following the right marketing, no matter how much money they were spending, sometimes things would just go off or they wouldn't get the results that they were expecting. And I could always trace it back to, a decision that they made out of fear, or just being in the, not aligned energy for them, or, if it came from a meeting when people weren't all aligned and the energy was too tense, nothing good would come out of that. And eventually I decided, hey, what if I could actually tell my clients that their energy is the problem? It's not just the marketing. It's not just their visibility. It's not just, their budget. It needs to start with the actual energy that's behind everything. Today, we're going to be diving into that connection between profits, energy, your beliefs behind them, all of that, and also be some fun quantum work, which is my favorite. So yay. If you want to grab a journal so you can take notes, feel free. This will be here so you can come back at any time. All good. Let's start with how your profits are affected by energy, because I know sometimes I say these things and people are like, wait, what? I like to think of it as, receiving money is the interstate or the highway. And it's so much easier to get where you're going if it's one of those days when the road is clear and it's great weather versus, the roads being all jammed up with cars going at different speeds, and there's fallen debris over here, and there's wind blowing things over here and blowing your car all around. You're kind of going to prefer, you're going to get there faster on the day when everything is clear. So the first part is that roadway for you to receive money or get to money, is that even clear? Because if not, that's what we have to do. We have to start in that. And the first steps are, what do you want to do with this money? How can you receive it? And taking a look at all of that. If it's coming from your business, I also like to really anchor in what good is this doing? So if you're receiving it from a clear offer, from, let's say it's your signature way of working with you, how is that serving your clients? How is that serving your community? How is that serving the world? Also, what difference is that making in your life? Because we don't want to just be focused on the money. We want to be focused on what is beneath the money, what that energy is doing, and making sure that we're setting the intention that it's for a positive use, which is going to have more benefit for us in the long run. And business, this also means we have to have really clear offers that create transformation. You have to be able to talk about them. That's that clear pathway in. If you want people to, come down that highway and get to your business, they need to understand where they're going. I mean, think of it as a road trip to Disney World. You understand why you're going to Disney World. You know what you're getting. You know what that experience is going to be like. Even if you've never been, okay, I'm going to have lots of fun. I'm going to ride rides. I'm going to eat really good food. You already have those expectations. You know that if nothing, it's a nice, relaxing time with either by yourself or with your partner or with your family. We want the same thing for our clients. So if we have this offer, is it clear which offer is best for them no matter where they are if you have several offers? Because if they can't figure that out, they're just going to go away because they're going to be overwhelmed. Is it clear what transformation happens when working with you? And it's okay if you do multiple things or you use different modalities. We're focusing on the transformation. You are not your modality. Just going to take a moment for that to anchor in. You are not your modality. Okay. Is it clear why you are the person to go to for that transformation? And these are the things that you should think about at any time when you're, talking about your offer, talking about what you do. And if you're not entirely sure with this, it can be go on Instagram stories and ask your audience, what are the top 2 to 5 things they think about when they think of you? And they might say things that surprise you. I know the last time I did it, I got things that surprised me, and it was oh, I should probably talk about those things more in my business. It was a good idea. And then it's like, are you aligned with receiving money in those ways? If you have these open doors, are they actually open? And I start with time and energy and, money typically is a thing. Do you have the time to receive how many clients that you want to receive at that level? Do you have the energy to support that many clients at that level? Are you aligned with the price that you're putting it at? Are your clients going to be aligned with that price? And if any of those answers is a no, we don't have a clear path. It's going to be a little harder to make that money. Another thing would be, are you trying to control the money? Like any good relationship, money doesn't want to be controlled. You have to let it flow. You have to surrender and allow it to do what it wants to do in some tendency. And it's okay. We all get that tendency to, it sneaks in from time to time. We all get that need to feel secure. And often that security is by controlling it. But take a step back and look at, what you're doing. Why are you doing it? That alone may stop it. And then for me, when it happens, I have to then connect to, let's say it happens during a launch. So then it's, why am I really excited to serve clients through this way? Why am I really excited about, this program? What do I know it's going to do for my clients? And start seeing all of the ripples that that's going to make. And you can journal about it. You can talk about it out loud, whatever is going to make a difference. You could even do a live. Maybe that's one of your sales pieces. Cool. And then you also need to do the release piece. So my two favorite ways, and if you've been around me for a while, you've probably heard of some of these, or at least one of them. So my toilet paper ritual. We get rid of things that we don't want with toilet paper. That's just a fact. So grab your toilet paper, write down, these beliefs or this idea, and it could just be like the need to control money, the feeling that I need this much to feel secure, whatever it is. You can do multiple, but just write them down, put them in the toilet. You can put some salt over top, flush them away, and allow them to release. Easy as that, promise. Okay, second thing, sounds a little weird, but go try it. Grab a foam roller, put it on like your hips or your legs. I tend to think we receive a lot from our hips. So if our hips are tight, it is harder to receive because we're holding on. But you can do anywhere, it doesn't really matter. If anywhere is tight, obviously it's harder to receive. But as you're doing it, start speaking out loud. You can just word vomit if you need to about what you're releasing. And it can be, I'm releasing the tendency to control, or I'm releasing, my fear about this launch, or, whatever. And then keep rolling, keep doing this. And when you feel kind of complete with that, replace everything that you have released with some gratitude. So what are you grateful for around money? What are you grateful for around your business? What are you grateful for around, your launch or your program, whatever it is? And allow that to be. If you want to, that's something you can even do regularly. Sometimes I do that one multiple times a week, just especially if things are stirring up, or if things are stirring up for my clients. Because if things are stirring up for my clients, I know that they're at least in my sphere. And while I'm not going to experience it the same way, that same energy is around me, and I might as well release it before I process it, so that it's just easier and gentler on my body. Okay. Another way that our profits are affected by energy would be human design. And if you know me, I talk about human design a lot. If you don't know what the F this is, look down below and you can take your quiz. There's a link there. It's not affiliated with me at all, but you can take that to find out your type. And we'll talk a little bit about type. You can also go into my Facebook group, Intuitively Wealthy, and find videos on so much human design. Human design is essentially the blueprint of our energy, how it flows, how we're supposed to make decisions, and how we're supposed to relate to others. And the big thing that we'll learn is that most of us are conditioned and trained to behave in a way that is on an exact opposite with how our energy is actually supposed to flow, which makes it a lot harder to get where you want to get. It makes it a lot harder to receive, just makes it harder for life in general. And So, some of the biggest things that I see with receiving, and this can be especially in business, is that most of us are trained to act like a manifester. It's just like just go do it. Just go do it is great if you're a manifester. Most of us aren't. It's only like 8% of the human beings. So, in business, what that looks like is like we show up all the time and we create and we create and we create and we push and we do all the things and then we burn out. Or then we get stuck and we spend and we spend and we spend and we keep spinning further and further out of alignment, which means we're not going to make any money. We're not going to receive anything. Still works the same if you're not in a business. If you're, for somebody who is in a career, it could be, you show up and you work your hardest and you overgive and you push your limits and, your boss says you have 4 hours to do this. So you swear you're going to get it done in 2 so that you can get ahead. And you're determined that somebody's going to notice you. And you push and you burn out and you don't get anywhere because then you don't have any energy left to actually receive. And we need energy to receive. If we're all filled up, how are we going to get more? So let's talk a little bit about each type in human design and what it looks like when their energy is flowing. Because think about it. What would your life look like if you were actually working with your energy versus against your energy? And this is kind of like my favorite premise to work with. This is one of my favorite places to start because it's such a, minor concept in the grand scheme of things of like, oh, we just have to know our type. And even something as simple as knowing, the one way we're supposed to work with it can drastically change our lives. And I've seen it drastically change businesses for just knowing one thing and focusing on, this is the thing that I'm focusing on this 3 months, just understanding this piece of my chart can be somebody going from not making consistent income to, having their best months ever consistently. So if you are a manifestor, great. And if you need to pause this to go look at your type, cool. Come back. If you are a manifestor, great. Know that the big thing is that you're here to initiate. You're not really here to complete. So don't beat yourself up for not completing anything. If you have lots of things that you want to complete, you're going to need the energy of other people. You're really great at starting things and then handing it to somebody else to complete. You'd work fantastic on a team or in collaboration because of that. But you also create responses and ideas for everybody else. Big thing to know is you wait for your timing to feel right. You inform the people around you who it's going to affect, and then you go. Simple as that. Wait for timing, inform, go. And know that when you do things that don't actually feel good to you, it shuts down your ability to manifest. It shuts down your ability to create. It shuts down your ability to receive. And my biggest advice to manifestors is throw out all of the shoulds, all of the coulds, everything that doesn't feel good, throw it all out and just start thinking about what is actually good for you. What is actually aligned with you? What are you excited to do? And that alone is going to open you up to receiving so much faster. Okay. So what if you're a generator? A generator can, often they're the type that can work hard, but it has to be really aligned for them. Otherwise, they get stuck in that spinning and spinning and spinning. The big thing a generator needs to know is that everything has to come from a response. And I always liken this to, you get in your car to go to Target. Okay, cool. You can sit in that car forever. You got to turn the car on. And turning the car on, whether it's, ignition, key fob, whatever, that is the response. Your response is what turns the car on and allows your energy to flow and your energy to receive. And, it can be like, if you're somebody who likes to post on social media all the time, great. It's probably not going to do anything for you if you're posting because you feel like you need to post. Or, you have, maybe it's like, oh, I have this thing that I'm selling. Let me talk about it. Well, great. Did that come from a response or is that just around, I want to sell? And instead, if it's like, oh my God, I was talking to this person and they said this, and it doesn't actually have to be that way. It can be a lot simpler. Then you can talk about it. And I'm a Mani-Gen, which is very similar. And for me, it's my best ideas come from responses. My signature program, Spellbinding Sales, came from watching my clients, several of them asked me, can you create something around sales for me? And I was like, I don't know. And finally, I'm watching people on social media, and I was just like, no, we're making this way harder than it has to be. It has to be about the energy and then flow into the actions that are aligned to go around it. It also can't be the same for every person. We're not cookie cutter. It shouldn't be the same. And that response has, kind of anchored in my business, which is fantastic. Generators are, again, like, don't really do the things that you don't want to do, because it's probably not going to get you very far. The second big thing to know on receiving, besides that you need to be responding, is that as you start receiving bigger things, or as you start achieving bigger things, or even as you start moving forward towards a goal or intention, it's like a staircase. It's not a straight path. And so, if you think of a staircase, it's like you may hit a step and then you're stuck at that step for a little bit. And human design calls it a plateau. So you're here and it's going to feel a little uncomfortable, and you're going to want to push, or you're going to want to turn back around and change plans. And that's where you often go wrong. Best example I have is I had a client who was changing her audience about every couple of weeks, because she's like, oh no, I didn't get a sale. They must not understand who I'm talking to. Let me shift it a little. And I was like, no, just stay. You're getting in their energy. And then you hit that plateau, which is the integration period of when they're like fully absorbing your energy. And it's time for you to come back to, what are the lessons? What do I have? What can I master more? What have I mastered? Instead of that, you turn around. So that is what you do when you're on the plateau. It's, what can I do to prepare? What can I do to align my energy? What can I do to support others going through this? And since generators respond in Manny Gens 2, you can use your sacral and ask yourself yes or no questions, or have somebody else ask you at first, and then answer through uh-huh or uh-uh. It has to be that at first, so that it's coming from your body versus lizard brain. And you can check your alignment to keep making sure of, like, okay, I'm in the right place. I don't need to change anything. I just need to, continue. A lot of receiving is that paying attention to signs from the universe, adjusting a little bit, and then doing what feels good. And I've already mentioned manifesting generators because, hey, I'm one. A little bit of both. Like generators, Manny Gens respond. And that is a crucial part of how they can receive. And you can do the uh-huhs and uh-uhs and, test what feels right, what doesn't. Give up guilt about being seen around changing your mind, because a Manny Gen won't know if something is aligned until they get into the actual energy of it. And then it can be you start doing something and then, oh no, this isn't right. And then you have to play with your uh-huhs and uh-uhs to figure out what's aligned. And that's going to be very true for even understanding what you want. You get partway there and then it's like, oh wait, something's not right. This isn't what I actually wanted. And then that's the time to get clearer so that you can call in. Manny Gens do really great by having a really clear vision of what they want and being able to hold that vision. Then, you go through the whole steps of like a manifestor and a generator. You inform, like, just even telling people what you want, what you're thinking about doing. And it's kind of like that's the first step of allowing yourself to feel into the energy of it and kind of trying it on for size. You wait for your response, you move forward, and if something's not in alignment, you just kind of readjust and go through the process again. It sounds a little more tricky, but it actually gets really easy, promise. Other two types would be projectors and reflectors. Projectors aren't actually here to work. And if you're a projector, this is the first time that you are understanding human design, I know the first thing is like, well, how am I supposed to make money? You can make money, I assure you. I know plenty of projectors who make money. I know projectors who make lots of money. But you're here really to guide energy. And of course, that means you can make money doing it. Again, you have to give up those needs and shoulds, and you have to stop pushing. Because the more you push to receive something, the more you push to get something, even like the more you push to be seen, that's repelling people away. And it puts like this wall, this barrier in front of you, and so that you can't actually receive what you're trying to receive. Instead, for you, What it really is that you have to wait for an invitation before you do anything major. And invitations can be somebody telling you, hey, you'd be really good at this. Or like, have you ever thought about doing a podcast? It can be a little different as well, but it's, you wait for the invitation, you trust that it's going to happen, you give yourself time to recharge and to clear other people's energy, you build up your own self-worth and understand that you are deserving. And in the meantime, while you wait for, your invitation, because you can move forward as soon as you have it, really focusing on building connections and being able to receive invitations, because if we can receive one thing, we can receive everything. And you'll know when things start shifting because you'll get invitations, you'll get opportunities. Sometimes things are just going to show up on your doorstep, and that's kind of how it should be for projectors. It's kind of how it should be for everybody, honestly. You know that if you're getting the little things, the big things are possible for you. It's just the determining what's not in alignment. What is the energy block? And I say energy block, I don't necessarily mean like like a money block or like, your victim story or some of the things other people will say, but it still is like, what is the misalignment? Okay, last human design type, reflectors. Reflectors are a little different because they have to wait a really long time before they can fully make decisions. They basically wait a lunar cycle. Reflectors can't push, and they're here to really show us the state of everything. And your energy is going to change depending on who's around. The big things about receiving is that, this is a little bit true for projectors too, is that you have to be in a place, in an environment that's aligned for you. So it's like you have to work somewhere that you love. You have to do things you love. The people around you have to be people you enjoy. And if not, things aren't going to work. And sometimes it's as simple as, I can look at a reflector's life and see, oh, well, your business isn't, working because you're working from home and it's too chaotic because the family's there. Or the business isn't working because you hate the town you live in. And until you move or until you decide to drive to the next town to do your work, that's kind of the problem that you're going to get because you're absorbing all of that energy and amplifying it. But in general, if you know your type and take one little step, that is enough to start opening yourself up to receive abundance. And I'll recap a little bit. So if you're what order did I do them? Manifestor, you need to inform. Follow your passions. Stop creating excuses that slow yourself down. If you are a generator, respond. Take small steps instead of trying to do everything at once super quickly. If you are a Mani-Gen, inform and respond. Stop trying to be all the things. Very simple. So I say, not very simple, but start. Projectors, wait for your invitation. Stop trying to do. Stop trying to push. Stop trying to initiate. Reflectors, wait, feel into things, give yourself lots of space, and make sure you're focused on alignment. And all of those things, they're a little broad. They sound kind of simple, but it honestly, truly is enough to start shifting your relationship with money. And since we've talked a little about money mindset, let's go in a little deeper. Because money mindset is one of those things that's going to affect how you receive. It can show up in our human design. It's a lot of information to go into now, but knowing your energy is key because we can pinpoint those things. And if you start learning about yourself, you may naturally see these coming up. You can also look at, what fears are present in your design and know that when they are coming up, it's because something is out of alignment, and that is how your body's processing it. If something's out of alignment, that means something's out of alignment in your ability to receive. And often fears like, let's see, I need to know more, or I'm not enough, or like people are going to judge me. Like those type of fears tend to be those spleen and solar center fears that are in our human design. And sometimes they're fears that we do actually need to process and discover what's underneath them and where they became, where they started from, where they originated. But sometimes it's as simple as understanding, hey, when we feel this, it's because something's not working. and something's out of alignment, and it's our job to figure out what is that thing that's not in alignment. How can we shift that? And then we can feel better moving forward. And it's it's not supposed to show up necessarily like we've been trained to process it as a fear, when really it's that sign of like, hey, something's not right. Go and fix what's right and then come back. And so, for things that I have seen, if it's in your business, it could be your business structure doesn't feel right. So of course you're going to feel, like people are judging you every time that you go make a post, because you're feeling that misalignment coming back to you, and your body's processing this like, oh, this isn't actually what's right for me. So it goes down one of those fear channels that you have. If you're really open in human design, which means you have a lot of white centers and versus the colored in, you can also amplify other people's energy, which can be great. But, as with all things, energy is neutral. So you can amplify other people's energy and bring in things, which means you can bring in fun channels that they may have, like the channel of money or the channel of power, which allows you to like basically resurrect ideas and, projects and ideas. You could, amplify their, gate of completion to allow you to complete things easier. But it also means that you can amplify other people's fears. So if you're around a lot of people and you're feeling one of those things, it's, is it really your money mindset? Is this really your belief? Is this really a story of yours? Or is it something that you're amplifying from somebody else? And then you can judge, or not judge, but feel into, is this something I need to explore? Is this something I just need to pull away from and, clear out of my energy because it's not mine? And make sure that you're not carrying around other people's stuff. And, that's why energy clearing is important, because so often we are carrying around other people's stuff. Think about how many people we interact with on a daily basis on an energetic basis, because that's not just like, oh, the people in your house or, your clients or the people that you're speaking to. You're scrolling through Instagram. Hey, you've just touched on their energy. You could have some of their energy on you or attached to you without even realizing it, because there's just these, residues of fingerprints of everywhere our energy has been. That's why it's really important to go into our human design. Deeper into the money mindset would be, I like to start with, what stories are we telling ourselves? And this is somewhere that I always like kind of stop and take notes on with clients, just hearing, what do they say about money? What do they say about receiving? What do they say about their business? And sometimes it's fun to take this trick, just, turn on, your voice recorder on your phone, turn it on and listen to how you speak about money. If you answer simple questions like, how do I feel about my relationship with money? Or, what does it feel like is happening in my life with money? Or, like, what are patterns that have happened in my life? Or start telling, basically retelling the events that you can pinpoint in your life where, memories where money was really a pivotal part of it. Listen to how you speak about it. And like, I would go back to childhood, and some of those things would be things that you may need to hear or heal. But we want to kind of feel into like, are you telling the story as somebody who is still a victim to the story? Or are you telling the story to somebody who is empowered through it and has learned the lessons? And it's okay, no matter what side you're on. It's just a matter of looking back at it. A recent one for me was, I think I was in like 7th grade, and I'd saved up a bunch of money. I was going to buy an American Girl doll because, of course, I was going to buy Samantha. And my dad took the money that I had saved. It had been like all my birthday money, Christmas money, etc., and went and spent it on who knows what. And I remember like I finally thought I'd gotten enough to buy Samantha, and I went to my little bank and was like, it's all gone. And as an adult, I had to look back at this and realize, hey, that is sometimes why I tend to hold on to things. And it's like not just money, but like actual things. What if I was very conscious about, I'm going to release things because I know that I have enough. I know that I will have enough for what I want. And I don't need to hold on to them just because I might need them. And if that's something that, is present in one of your stories, it can be, one of the things I did was I went through, had a closet, literally a whole closet full of clothes that I couldn't wear. And it was like pre-baby clothes and like stuff, but some of them was like, even if I do get to that size, like, do I really want my like bummy old navy t-shirts? Probably not. I'd want to celebrate and anchor in new energy and buy new things. Like, I can get rid of them. And then some were like, really cute blazers. And instead of, me holding on to them for, another year or two, and, luckily I didn't, because now I'm pregnant, I still wouldn't be in them. But, instead of that, I was like, I could give these to my nanny and she would be really happy about them because like they're just her size and it's her style. And instead of holding on to something, I gave to somebody else, which allowed me then to receive more. And there was way more room in my closet to add. Now there's video wardrobe, all my kimonos and such. But that came from digging out one little piece of my story. What's in your story? And if you're not sure about like where things began, it's okay. We'll talk a little bit more about digging out some of the roots in a few minutes. But, that is a great place to start, because we need to be aware of like, what is the foundation of our relationship with money? What's underneath the surface? What are those fruits? And as I said, we'll talk about this more in a minute because it makes sense to talk about when we're talking about shifting the energy. Another way that our profits are affected by energy is through our client connections. And if you own your business, I'm just going to say it, this is the place where you actually should be starting. It shouldn't be, you thinking about all of these things or selling and, marketing and visibility. No, you have to start with your clients. You have to start with who you're serving. If you can't create that direct path to them, all of those other things, they're just, shiny little features on your car. Cool. You don't know where you're going. Doesn't matter what shiny features are on your car. Doesn't matter if you have heated seats. Doesn't matter if, your key fob is painted the same color as your car, because it's not going to get you anywhere if you don't know where you're going. Instead, how are you building relationships? And I'm going to pause there because that's a really important question. How are you building relationships with the people around you, with your future clients, with your clients? How are you making people care about who you are? How are you showing them what you're passionate about and making them care about that? How are they caring about what you do? What types of transformation you do? Like, why are they excited to be on this journey with you? Why would they be excited to road trip with you? And, like, this is one of the biggest reasons that I'm against like post and runs on social media, because social media should be about connection. If you're not building connection, what exactly are you doing? And instead, I like to think about, I have like these 3 magic points. If I am communicating somewhere online, I'm thinking about, especially if I'm trying to talk about an offer or, if I'm directing somebody somewhere, not just having a conversation, it's how can I show my future clients that I know what they need? How can I show them that I understand where they are? How can I show them there's a different way than where they are? And like, those are often little points of a story that I'm telling, or, we think of them as stepping stones. If you're writing a post about your offers, doesn't include those, magic points so that people understand who you are, how you help people, and what's different about that work and what's different than where they are. If we have that story laid out for them, it's a lot easier for them to understand whether they resonate with you, whether they resonate with what you do, whether it's right for them. It sounds so simple, but it really can be simple. Other questions to ask yourself are like, what are ways that people feel like they know you? And with social media, like the great thing is like stories, we can share pieces of our life, and it's up to you to determine how much you want to share. Like, you don't want to share just in order to feel like you're, showcasing your life. For me personally, like, my family is off limits. I usually don't even say my children's name. Or name, well, one child's name, not 2 yet. And like, I don't share a lot of pictures of my family because that feels very personal. They, a child can't consent to that. I'm not going to make my children part of my business because of that. And if it feels good to you, you may feel like you want to do the opposite. That's great. It's just, what are the ways to show people how to know you and to get to know you that feel really aligned for you? And again, we have to come back to that alignment, because if it's not in alignment with us, it's not going to do what you're trying to get it to do. And, it's, again, that simple. Another question would be, what are ways that people can feel like they trust you and what you talk about? And it's kind of like that, what are ways that people can understand that you know what you're talking about, or that you are somebody who can lead them through that experience? Often this comes to telling your own stories. This could be telling, stories of people who have been on this journey with you, but really walking people down that path. What are ways to make, whatever you do, whatever you focus on, feel relatable, feel tangible, feel like something that they have experienced or they are experienced? What are ways they are experiencing? What are ways to make it feel easy or more approachable? And like, these are all of the things that are part of client connection, and everything has to build on client connection, which means we need to know who they are. We need to know, why they feel that way about particular things, what resonates with them, what doesn't, because it's really hard to build that connection if people are just numbers or just, faces on the other side of a screen. Okay, now we can go into shifting our energy around money, because yes. If I were to ask you right now how you feel about your relationship with money, what 3 words would you give me? I'm going to give you a second to think about this. And while I do, I'm going to take a drink of water because I'm really thirsty. Okay, hopefully you have your 3 words. If not, just pause me. And then I want you to come back to those words. Does that feel good to you right now? Do all of them feel good? Is there one that you would want to change, or would you want to change all of them? If you were thinking of the ideal place, what 3 words would you say instead? And sometimes even when my words feel really good, I have to come and think about like, oh, well, ideally they would feel like this. What's the difference? How far apart are they? What is that bridge that needs to connect? And like, I'm just going to think of random words. I say that money feels really open. It feels really possible. And it feels, maybe if you say it feels heavy or something. So then it's like, okay, well, instead, I want it to feel available. I want it to feel light and easy and, like maybe magical. I don't know. But come up with your own words. What would you want to say? What is the difference between where you are and where you want to be? And now we're going to dig into those roots a little bit, like we were talking about with the money mindset. So if we know why or how we feel and how we want to feel, then the next step is exploring, how do we get here? Why do we feel this way? I usually take a journal and just kind of like brain dump things down as I'm doing this. If I have this one word, and at one point my word for money was like, one of them would have been like stressful. And so it's like, can I think about the first time that I felt that way about it? And, I like to go back as far as possible and start there. You may want to go backwards, but I had to think about like, all of the things that, like, when were the times when money felt stressful and why did it feel that way? Was it something that I had created? Was it a situation that I couldn't help? But like, any of it. If you can think of the first time that you associated, that word with the memory, start there. If not, you can think of anything that stands out and just start exploring that. And then, so like, I usually do it as like a chart. So there's like the first memory, here's other memories, and then like, what other events reinforced that feeling, even if it wasn't directly correlated to me, even not be directly correlated to money exactly, but what made me feel that same way? And then like, are there any patterns there? What truth did I have about money that contributed to creating the energy of that word, that contributed to the energy of creating stress? And this could be something you've experienced. This could have been something you were told. It could have been something that you observed. Again, like, I like to start with childhood. So another thing, like, just using my own story, because why not? For me, I feel like I always relate money, especially when I'm out of alignment, I relate it to safety and independence. And that mean, I know why, because it was like I watched my mom leaving an abusive relationship, and that like push pull because she couldn't, because he had control of the money. I later ended up in that same situation because obviously that was a wound that needed to be healed. And so now it's like, well, what does that mean that I do? How can I honor money in that way while still not playing to that fear? And, part of that is that, I track everything. It's part of my human design profile of money, but I track everything so that I can be aware. I can also be aware that that's a, security thing of like looking at all the numbers. So then I have like a money date with my husband and we talk about everything. We have like, I put money aside into like stocks and such, just for that's the outside safety, that's the outside independence. What's in my bank account I know is going to support me, and I know is going to be perfectly aligned. And there may be things in here of that you have to play with, of what is the way to honor that without like having a codependent relationship with that feeling, and what is the way of showing some gratitude to whatever that feeling is, and then making it feel a little better. And you may even want to start with those memories. So like my memory with, my mom wanting to leave, or with the bank, my little piggy bank that was empty. What would that have felt like if it had been different? And how could it have felt differently? What, ripples would have come from that? What would my relationship with money look like instead? And feel into that. Allow yourself to really like go down it, even if it feels silly. You may want to journal it out. You may want to talk it out. But it's like, okay, if that piggy bank hadn't have been empty, I would have had the Samantha doll. And I would have felt really cool because Samantha was like, in my head, she was the rich doll. So again, I was trying to buy my security even at this young age. But she was popular and she had the money. And I would have felt like she was my embodiment of that energy, which may have turned into, feeling more confident in general. It may have created more ripples. And we're just going to go down the positive side, because obviously there's negative things. Like maybe that would have made me, maybe I would have played with it after a while and it would just been a thing. I don't know. But we want to go with the positive side of that. And if you want to dive deeper into shifting your energy, you want to do it right now. We're going to be done in just a few minutes. There's a quantum work below. Just click the button. You can download it, do whatever. And we're actually going to go through and explore your relationship with money, what it looks like, what it can look like on the highest level, and bring that into your body now. And I love quantum work. It is my favorite way to shift energy because it does start moving it outside of our physical body. Because we have, there's a physical body, there's our energetic body, there's our cellular body. And so often when we try to move, change how we believe or start moving energy, we only focus on one aspect of ourselves. And this is all of them. If you've never experienced quantum work, know that it's different for each person. Know that, it may really energize you. It may make you really tired. You may need lots of rest afterwards. I would say if you want to repeat this work, which I would suggest, you can do it as many times as you want, but give yourself, at least 2 to 3 days in between. If you've looked at your human design and it's full of open centers, you may want to give yourself a little bit longer and just kind of go with the flow. But I would suggest grab your journal. You're going to want to take notes. You may get a lot of answers or a lot of suggestions. You may just get a clearing, and that's cool too. Take at least a couple of big drinks of water. It's really important, even though quantum work feels really gentle. Actually, when I was taught it, it was like it should feel like it's too easy and like you're not doing anything. And that's how you know it works. So it's really gentle, but you don't really understand, because it's so gentle, how big of an effect it's having on your body. I've had clients who have come back and gone, I should have drank my water because I got really sick or I got like really dizzy. Just drink your water. Please just drink your water. Grab your journal, drink your water. If you want to like grab a crystal or something to have nearby while you're doing it, that's cool too. And then look below for your quantum work. And there's also, a few extra little tidbits of information. So thank you for joining me. I hope you have lots of insights about how profits and energy flow together. Lots of insights about where can you start aligning your energy. I would absolutely love to hear anything that clicked for you. You can find me on Instagram, or you can come to my Facebook group and just tell me, like, what's already shifting for you? What's clicking? What is falling more into alignment? What are you realizing that needs to fall into alignment? Tell me all the things. Okay. Bye. Go do your quantum work.